Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. No contribution with this video. Well, the elections last night were a beating. Not that I didn't see it coming from a mile away, and there's a million reasons why. And I'll probably get into that in some later videos. Obviously, when you're more focused on somebody else's foreign policy other than yours and bombing nations at the behest of another nation over and over and over again. And the defenders of that place just keep calling you an anti this and a racist that, and people have to be canceled. Some cancel culture is back again from supposedly our side, but that's neither here nor there. And we won't even get into, who put all these Marxist Democrats in power, 19th Amendment, if you look at that breakdown. But that's not what this video is about. This is about another vote that was happening this time in Texas that I didn't even know about, but now that I do, boomers are just laughing at us all the way to the bank. Well, let me show you this out of Texas. Texas voters approve historic property tax cuts. Now, you would think property tax cuts are a good thing. They're a good thing for everybody who wants to pay property taxes. You're basically paying rent on land that you supposedly own. I mean, the whole thing, it just sucks. And this is where your school taxes and road taxes and all that type of local funding mostly comes from. It's from property taxes. But let's take a look at what this Texas property tax proposition was all about that was approved. The Texas Tribune has called elections on Propositions 11 and 13, which cut property tax owners with additional cuts for disabled Texans and those over the age of 65. So if you're wondering why there are so many people on disability, I mean, there are so many advantages of being on disability and so many different types of breaks you get. That's one thing. But those over the age of 65, boomers getting, the boomers who own 84 trillion, more than half of the next generation of all the property and all the wealth. They refuse to sell it. They refuse to move, and they just keep acquiring more. More and more and more. State Senator Paul Bettencourt, Republican Houston, who authored both and this is done by Republicans. Here it is, and this is it. This is what I keep screaming about Fox News and Sean Hannity brained freaking boomers. Supposedly Republicans, supposedly conservatives, supposedly on our side, who continually vote to screw over their children, their grandchildren, and future generations. Why? They're at the end of their lives and they just want more. They just keep taking more and more. These measures will provide much-needed school property tax cuts for statewide Texas taxpayers, Bettencourt said in a statement. That's real smart. So you're basically cutting funding for your schools, but then putting the burden on generations who have more than 50+% less wealth and assets and the ability to earn than the boomers who own everything. What do Props 11 and 13 address? Props 11 and 13 lower property taxes by increasing the allowable property tax exemptions for homesteads. Proposition 11 increases homestead property tax exemptions for elderly and disabled owners. Exemptions would bump from $10,000 to $60,000 of market value of the homestead. Proposition 13 is far more reaching exemption and increases exemptions from school district property taxes from $100,000 to $140,000 of the market value of the homestead. This is just a giveaway for boomers so they can save more of their money and take it all with them and not share it with their family. Nearly 80% are for this. They're laughing at everybody. According to Betancourt's office, the exemption would save 5.7 million Texas homeowners, around 484 per year, 907 per year for over 2 million seniors, and 2,500 per year for small business. Combined, the two proposed amendments could help seniors and disabled people across Texas see up to $200,000 in their homestead property tax exemptions. $200,000 in property tax exemptions for boomers. That they need it, right? They need it. People can't make their rent. They can't make their car payment. They can't pay their electric bill. But let's give more to boomers who already owns things, who own property. These aren't renters. These aren't boomers in nursing homes. These are property owners. And now you're letting them out of funding your schools, funding your roads, and putting it all on generations who make far less and own far fewer assets. And this was done by Republicans. They deserve to lose. They deserve to lose. Sacrificed at the altar of boomers. Real smart Texas, red Texas, conservative Texas. People are out of their minds if they believe that. If they don't think Texas will flip blue eventually, because this is what Republicans do. They sit on their hands like the losers they are. And they will willingly walk up to the chopping block thinking that they're going to get some kind of praise or adulation, and they're not. All they're doing is screwing over the younger generations over and over again. That's who needs property tax relief, right? It's the boomers. They're sitting on the property. If you can't afford the taxes on it, then that's when it's time to sell. No. Let's let them keep sitting there and keep driving up housing costs because they refuse to leave. Sick of it. Passing Props 11 and 13 would result in a projected $3 billion loss of revenue for schools. However, Betancourt said the state would use its budget surplus to offset this cost. And how long is that surplus going to last now? How long before you raise taxes on everybody else? How long before you raise taxes on everyone else? Because that's what's going to happen. And boomers are laughing. They're laughing all the way to the bank, counting their money. Some worry that property tax exemptions will not alleviate the tax burden on Texans, but instead shift it elsewhere. Chandra Villanueva, Director of Budget and Policy at Every Texan, a nonprofit that advocates equity across a range of public policy topics, said creating a permanent property tax exemption in the state constitution will weaken a key source of state revenue. She compares taxation in other states as a three-legged stool: income tax, property tax, and sales tax. Texas does not have an income tax. When you start shaving away at property tax over and over again, it just puts greater reliance on the sales tax. And the sales tax is our most regressive tax, and it's the most volatile, Villanueva said. So everyone else has to pay more to cover, so boomers can sit in their homes on their high horse, looking down at you, counting their money, saying, look at all the money I have. Why can't you do it? This is what I had at your age. It's disgusting. Republicans deserve to lose. What qualifies as a homestead? In Texas, a person must own and occupy a property as their primary residence to qualify as a homestead. So they already own. These aren't renters. These aren't people. You're not alleviating taxes on anybody who's poor, who's renting, who can't make ends meet. These are for rich boomers to not fund your schools, to not fund your roads, to not fund your local priorities. And all it's going to do is drive up sales taxes in that state on the backs of everyone else. Boomer's going to boom. Boomer's going to boom, man. I told you this is the most destructive generation that has walked the face of the earth. They just are. The me generation, more. As they get closer to the end of life, the more they want to burn it all down on their way out and keep it all for themselves. To apply for homestead tax exemptions, ownership and occupancy must be fulfilled by Jan 1 of the tax year for which they are applying for exemptions. Homesteads in the state can be classified as urban, rural, or business homestead. Urban homesteads are the properties up to 10 acres within a city subdivision. The property must receive at least 3 municipal services such as water, sewer, and electricity. Rural homesteads are primary residences not located in the city or town. But that last point, the property must receive at least 3 municipal services such as water, sewer, and electricity. So you can't be an off-grid person. You have to be in the game. Do you understand? You can't tap your own water well because you're off city water. You can't have your own source of electricity, alternative electricity. Not that I think it works that well. These are people because, the city wants to make sure that they're getting theirs. We're not letting you out of that. You still got to pay. You still got to pay your utilities. You can't be an off-grid person and then think you're going to get out of having to pay property taxes. Ugh. Rural homesteads are primary residences not located in a city or town. They are limited to 200 acres for a family or 100 acres for a single individual. Business homesteads are urban properties that act as home but also have a business operating out of it. The tax exemptions and creditor protections of a homestead protect individuals, not business entities like corporations or LLCs. So again, and this passed 80.6%. Texas voting for their own demise and increasing tax burden for their younger residents. The boomers are laughing at you all the way to the bank. Because that's the age group that needs to be protected financially, right? It's the boomers. The boomers they're the ones who have double the wealth and assets of the next generation, Gen X, which is at like 40 billion or 40 trillion. I think it's billion, 40 billion, 40, it's either billion or trillion, I don't remember. And then the next generation after that is half of what Gen X is. Yet and still, you're letting these boomers out of funding schools, funding their local taxes, funding their roads, and they're going to put the burden on everyone else. These people are supposedly at the end of their life. These aren't poor elderly people. These aren't people living on a budget necessarily. They're property owners. Sell the property. Sell your property. You don't let them out of their taxes. You make them sell their property. No. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't take from the boomers. It's unbelievable. And then they sit there and then they laugh at you all the way to the bank as they count their money on their high horse with scorn, looking down at you. It's like, well, I had this. I had a home. I had a job. I was car. Like at your age, I had triple the assets you have. That's what you're dealing with. It's sad. So like I said, this generation, the 79% of them, funny how that worked out. We say 79%, and what's the vote at? And what was this at? I say 79% of boomers want to take it all with them. What did the vote pass by? 80%. 80.6. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong about the 79, 80%. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not. They will continue to laugh at you all the way to the bank and then cry victim. Why? They want to burn it all down on their way out because they're bitter and they're angry that they're nearing the end of life. Prove me wrong. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you want to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. If you haven't watched this video over there, please do. Even a click helps. Follow me on TikTok, X, and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.